to come out here and get my Derek Jackson on without all the head movement. You know, and you need to tell him the. I don't get it, brother. I don't get it, but that's your thing. You getting money, get your money, brother. Get your money. So I wanted to talk about being married in the military. I was never married, but I was in the military. I just wanted to cover this because I saw a video of a brother who was telling a woman, pretty much who was in the military, how messed up the situation that she was in was. And no, it's not an ideal situation, but nonetheless, it's common in the military for the military wife, the military husband to be in two different places, and they could be anywhere on the planet. You can get uh, you might have to do a detail in, out there in Guam or something like that, and the other person is in Alaska. That's just it. That's the way your orders go. The only way that you two stick together is if one person is not in the military. So the spouse can follow you wherever you go. You pack your whole family up and be out. But if you two are in, you could be in the same unit, and all of a sudden one of you will have to ETS one place and the other person ETS another place. That's just the way the military is. I ain't gonna say they don't care about your family and the fact that you have kids, because they do. They take it in consideration, but nonetheless, it's the military. It's not for play. It's not just a place you go to, and things go your way. Because you'll find out that the majority of people do not have your interest in mind whatsoever when it comes to the military. I was talking to this young lady. I went in the Boston market, and the young lady behind the counter, she was like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about going into the military." Just talking. And I said, "How old are you?" She's like, "I'm 16." And I was like, "You thinking about going to the military?" I said, "Okay, well, you need to make up your mind what you're gonna do now." I said, "Because tomorrow you're gonna wake up, you're gonna be 18, you're gonna be emancipated, and you're gonna have to decide on what you want to do in life." And she said, "Yeah, it's gonna go by fast." It's like, "Yeah, because you're in your 16th year now. You're not 15 going on 16. So you got like a year and a half or whatever to go before you have to make a decision, step out the house, and be a grown person." So basically, she was telling me, I said, "What do you want to do, for the rest of life?" She wanted to be an OBGYN, and I was telling her, "How you going to pay for that?" You know, the military, I'm not trying to encourage you to go. And I said, "But the military paid for my degree." But nonetheless, she said she wasn't sure about the military because she was afraid. I said, "Well, if you're afraid, then the military is not for you." And so basically helped her make a decision not to go into the military. Listen, the military is not for everyone. But if you're married listen, I know people who were married in the military, and it would be two people who are both in the military and they're married. Things didn't go their way. They got separated. And that's just it. And for the people who were married and had a spouse, they were catching hell too. The military is a rough place. It's not a place to go for a trial. It's not a place to go for, and like a lot of young people. Here's what you find out when you get into the military: the majority of the people in there are 19 years old. They're fresh out of high school. The majority of them. You get some people who might be 24, but the majority of people are younger. You might even get somebody who's a prior service, meaning they were in the service before, and it's rare. But you also have people who are prior service that was in another service. So you might get somebody who's in the army, and but before that they were in the navy, and they did their time. So they did good time. They did 4 years and said, "You know what? I want to try the army now." And then they boom jump into the army because they're 24, 25. The cutoff age right now is like 32 to 35, somewhere around there, where you can actually get in, go and do boot camp and the whole nine. So there that is. But being married in the military is not recommended, especially if you start squeezing out, children. You're gonna catch a hard time. Military, military money. Like I seen a lot of. All right, so I used to work for the jail system. The majority of the people who were in jail in the military, I worked for the jail system. So in the military, the majority of the people that were in jail were in there for bad checks. And a lot of them were family men. They were in there for bad checks. So a lot of these guys are married, or whatever, and they're catching a hard time because they can't feed their family off of what the military pays them. And and people think, oh, you go in the military, you got money. No, you go in the military and you struggle. There are plenty of people who are in the military who do not have money, and they're waiting on those checks to come around. And when those checks finally hit, it's all gone, because what they do, they have to buy a car. So that car money is hitting them. They got to buy uh, all kind of other stuff, for the family. They just have to do it. If they don't do it, then they're hitting them out. So don't think you're gonna go in the military and everything's just gonna be, oh yeah, I'm cool, I'm fine. It just doesn't work like that. Uh, People struggle when they get into the military, and if you don't have a plan, which most people do not, if you don't have a plan when you go into the military, you're gonna get hit with the culture shock of a low pay. I mean, it's just especially if you're an E1, it's just a low pay, and you just got married. You drag your wife into that. It's just hard living. So I would not recommend going into the military and you just now got married. You're a newlywed, young couple, newlywed. Even if he or she does not, even if the spouse does not get married and you're the only one married, I just wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend, if you're going to go into the military and get your rank up to, like, wait a few years. At least get up to an E3, and then seriously consider it. And then once you hit E4, you know what I'm saying, things would just be a little better, especially if you guys are about to, or plan on having kids right away. So go into the military, wait about 3 years. Do your first tour in the military first. Do that. Hit about 23, 24 years old, where the dust is settled. You got a general idea of how much everything costs. You've seen people who are married in the military. You know how much it's costing them. You have a general idea what's going on. And then if you're still with that person, or you're looking to find somebody to get married, then go that route and do it. Because if you don't do that, then like I said, the culture shock of being in the military is a bit much for young people, especially because they are not around their family. So the whole support of the family is not where you're at, and it gets lonely real quick. Real quick, it gets lonely. Um, and if your spouse is still, you guys are from Jersey, and then you have and your spouse and the military spouse has to head down to North Carolina. That's a good ways. You know what I'm saying? That's a trip right there. You guys got to make that trip, and it just gets lonely real quick. And your first tour, some people actually do end up in Alaska. So I was in Germany my first tour, my only tour. I was in Germany, so you know I was calling home from Germany. Like, it gets lonely real fast, people. So if you're gonna do it, go in the army, do your first tour, You decide to do a second tour, then get married. That's just the best advice I can give you because being married in the military is very hard. It's doable. It's doable, but it's hard. I'm out.